Thank you. Do you remember the first time someone asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you remember what you thought? What you said? This is my first answer to that question at about age 6. For those of you who can't quite make out what this is, it's a bagpiper. I was a bit of an odd 6-year-old. But to be fair, I wasn't thinking in terms of a viable future profession in the honorable art of bagpiping. There isn't one, by the way. I was trying to express something that had captured and shaped my imagination at the time. Think back to some of your early responses to that question. Maybe you'll notice a similar pattern. Because when you really look at it, this question is actually kind of sneaky. It's an adult march into our child mind and world, asking us to explain its strange, wild landscape in the form of an industry and an occupation. It's an attempt to make landfall, plant a flag, and start colonizing. Is it any wonder that the question that we adults feel most comfortable asking someone we just met is, so what do you do? The loneliness that I've ever felt is when I woke up one day as a full-on grown-up and realized that I'd focused for so long on what I wanted to be or what I thought I was supposed to want to be, that I didn't know who I actually was. The stories in my head had stopped. The portals in my universe had been closed. The bagpiper had gone silent. It was in the middle of this time of loneliness and confusion that wonder appeared to me, as real as any imaginary friend, and invited me to get to know it. I didn't know it at the time, but this relationship with wonder would reshape every aspect of my life, mind, and work. It would lead me to quit my job, change my beliefs, and meet and work with kids all over the world. And it would show me what's possible when you ask a better question, one that I'm here to share with you. What if, instead of asking kids, what do you want to be when you grow up, we asked them, what do you wonder about? This simple shift holds great power and permission to bring back things within ourselves that we might have long forgotten, to believe that there's much we have yet to imagine, and to share that rich world with each other. I want to talk more about how this happens. But first, another question. Why aren't we doing this already? To answer that, we have to look at what wonder really is. If you were to look around you today for our cultural view of wonder, you'd be likely to see bright colors, big letters, and aspirational ad-like messages. None of these things are wrong or untrue. Wonder is, in fact, a wonderful thing, but it's a bit one note. And there's a reason for this slightly anesthetized oversimplification. Wonder, if you look with a sharper focus, is ambiguous, duplicitous even. Looking at the origins of the word wonder starts to tell us why. It ranges from the Old English wondrian, meaning a marvelous thing or a miracle, to the Middle English wondor, meaning to entertain some doubt or curiosity, to finally the German word Wunde, meaning an opening or a wound. So on the one hand, wonder represents the act of questioning, the reaching out to advance what we know. On the other, it represents a feeling, discovery, or experience that causes us to let go of what we thought we knew in a sweeping moment of awe. The result of either of these things creates something new and dismantles something known at the same time, something which can be experienced as incredible or painful, depending on our vantage point. That's all in there, in that one little word. In our society built on and addicted to speed, convenience, and the domination of the known, no wonder we feel the need to tame it. And yet, to bring wonder into our lives in a real way, we have to acknowledge that this seeming contradiction, as uncomfortable as it can be, is actually part of its nature and can help us to understand our own. I discovered this while working with a remarkable group of people to build the Wonderment. When I tell people that my job for the last 6 years has been to support kids around the world to use their sense of wonder to build a new sense of humanity together, I usually get a look. And if that look had a sound, it would be, right. But guess what? It's a real thing. We built a nonprofit web platform where kids could gather and share what they imagined in their neighborhoods in the world. We knew that it wasn't enough just to encourage kids to wonder. We knew that they needed to experience the power of sharing that with each other and take action together to bring it into the world. And we knew that we, as adults, needed to learn how to walk alongside them and support them in that process. So as ideas and projects began to grow out of this wondering, we brought together mentors, donors, and volunteers to help make them a reality. We took one, sometimes shaky, step at a time, learning from kids and ideas all over the world, and some amazing things started to happen. We worked with a group of high school students in Guatemala to turn an old sheriff's bus into a mobile library that they could use to go to kids in surrounding rural areas to help them learn and love to read. Kids from Italy, Israel, Spain, and more organized a cultural summit and brought 2 young members of the Queros tribe in the high Andes of Peru to Costa Rica to share their knowledge and traditions with hundreds of students and make international friendships that will last for the rest of their lives. Kids from over 25 countries have connected and gotten to know each other over the last several years through projects and ideas like these that started with them, including a refugee community bus right here in Salt Lake City. There's part of me that wishes that I could tell you that this is the solution, that we figured it out once and for all, that all the stories were beautiful like these, and that all that's left to do is package and deliver wonder to solve the world's problems. Some of that's true, but as we've seen already, wonder doesn't do well with oversimplification. What's also true is that the same reaction that you might have gotten as a kid to your crazy idea or question is alive and well, no matter what age you are. Most days have more unknowns than knowns. And for every person who sees and supports a vision, there are 20 more, including one in here, who would love nothing more than to tell you why it won't work, why it doesn't make sense, why there are more responsible things that you should be doing, and more knowledgeable people who could do it better. So what then? When wonder and the world around you don't seem to fit so nicely, I want you to imagine the first time you stood on a ledge facing a set of monkey bars. If you're anything like I was at this age, this is next level daring and sorcery. You quickly realize that there are 2 very basic things required here: reaching out and letting go. But there's a mystery at the heart of it, which you immediately face when you end up like this. If you think that you can make it all the way across while thinking of those 2 things as separate acts, you're screwed. Trust me, those arms just don't have the strength. The thing that generates the momentum is the breakthrough experience of realizing it's all part of the same motion. I want you to remember in your body what that feels like. This is the truth and the power of wonder. It's not a nice feeling or a vague dream. It's not a nostalgic nod to a lost childhood. It's a practice. It's taking a deep breath and having the guts to reach out, let go, reach out, let go. And as a result of this willingness, feeling an amazing force somehow carrying you forward in this primal rhythm of playgrounds everywhere. I loved and believed in the wonderment so much that it made me afraid. Afraid that it might not be understood or supported, and that somewhere, somehow, that meant that I wasn't understood or supported. And this fear made me hold on to expectations, both my own and others, of what it would be when it grew up. I found myself doing the same thing to the project that we do to our kids, feeling the same pressure to explain, plan, measure, justify, predict, sometimes from the very people closest to me, even my own board. And suddenly, in the midst of it, I realized why we do it, why we grasp so tightly that we drive wonder away. It's because deep down, we wish we had the kind of control to keep what we love safe in a world that seems to have a million ways to hurt it. I choose to stay open and stand with wonder, come marvel or wound, because I know now it's the only way to stay connected to that part of myself that allows me to truly connect to anyone or anything else. This is a daily choice, and it goes beyond just my creative or professional life. I also have a 6-year-old son. Like any parent, my desire to know that he'll be okay feels overwhelming sometimes. I wish I had a guarantee that he'll live in a world where he can be happy, safe, and successful. But I don't. None of us do. I don't have a lot of knowns to give him. And I know that there are kids around the world and in our own neighborhood who are given even fewer. But I also remember what finally got me to trust myself enough to try on those monkey bars as a kid. It was seeing someone I cared about, someone older, show me what that looked like. So reach out and ask yourself, what do you wonder? Let go of what tells you you can't or you shouldn't, or you're too old, or it's a waste of time. Share what you find with the people in your life, no matter their age. Then ask them. This is how we reclaim ourselves and each other from the loneliness and fear that we experience when we believe that we have to separate from our most essential self, our child self, to survive in this world. Reach out, let go. Reach out, let go. Who you are is needed because of what we make possible from that place. Together, day by day, we can call forward that human magic within us that cannot help but transform the world around us, wildly, curiously. This is a kind of belonging that includes every one of us and helps us to recognize each other for the discoveries that we are. This is how we move forward into a future that we all belong in. And this can never be bought or contained or won or controlled. This is the awe of the gift wonder offers us. Thank you.